Well, welcome back again to Springheel's speed build. When we left off last time, I had just finished off this living area here that the thugs use as their sleeping quarters. This is where the player is going to be entering for the final stage of the mission, and there will be a secret safe behind a wall in the main room here where the player has to stash something. I haven't quite figured what that's going to be yet, but I want to do something more than just rob what's in the safe. So we placed everything here last time. We had all the geometry pretty much done, but there were a few things we did not get to do. One of the things we didn't do was create the link from the industrial set here, the industrial modules, into these interior modules. There's going to be a doorway right there. Oops, no, right there. And this is where the player will transition from one to the other. Now you can see right now this is just a wall. We're going to have to change that into a door. So why don't we do that right away? Actually, there's a door right there. We'll just steal that model line. There we go. Now, the problem is going to be trying to get these two to line up because the doors aren't necessarily the same size. I said we had a trick for that, and I'll show you what that is. We're going to look for, let's see, door related? No, I think it's under architecture, door frames, yeah. Now there is a door frame, that's it right there, that's used by the interior set. There's also a separate model so that it can be moved independently, and what I want to use it for is to hide the seams in between the two sets. Whoops. So let's hide everything but these two for now. So we just have to deal with these. And I want this to, oh, it's interesting. That is sticking through. Oh no, that's not sticking through, it's just a gap. Okay. Well, let's position this properly inside the gap first of all. This is an annoying thing about Dark Radiant. Maybe someone can help me with this. For some reason, when I control tab to rotate, it rotates this window. I select this window, and it still rotates this window. What do I have to do to get it to rotate over here? Eventually it starts doing it, but it seems random. I have not figured that out yet. Okay, so we'll position that so that's pretty much in the center there. And it is floored. And now we can see here that this doesn't stick in far enough. It's going to leave a gap, and if we move this far enough this way that it sticks out the way it should, how does that look in between? Does that leave a gap in there? Actually, no, it's buried. What on the other side? There is a gap there. So there's a gap on, oh, no, maybe it's just, yeah, there's a small gap on both sides. Okay, well, here's what we're going to do. Remember when I put, let's unhide everything, get our layers window up. Remember when I put all of this stuff on its own layer? This is why that is useful. So that you can, with one click, select it all. What? Why did it select side halls? Side halls aren't on that layer. What? Huh. Somehow the side halls got put on that layer. Oh, wait. Yeah, okay, maybe because I'm clicking side halls. When I did this last time, when you create a new layer, it's on the bottom, and so for some reason I was just assuming that was the one without actually looking at it. So, oh, wait a minute. Huh, okay. I guess somehow living quarters did not wind up being put in living quarters. Okay, so that's kind of annoying. I guess layer management, not my strong suit, obviously. So what I'm going to do is delete all this stuff and then move that to the layer it's supposed to be on. And here I was all ready to talk about how this was going to save me time. Probably has not saved me much at all. Now we just have those, I hope. So let's move to layer living quarters. And now let's turn that layer off. Yes, okay, that looks the way it's supposed to. So now we can select all those with one click, and let's move this over a little bit closer so that then we can move this over, and hopefully it will now have no gaps. Let's see, let's get right in the middle, and nope, pretty clearly no gaps there now. Good. Alright, so then we will put our door inside there, and we'll have to do something about that, but later. Alright, why don't we add the door while we're here. Doors, not under architecture. Alright, now it's a 96 by 48 frame, so we want something that's 96 by 48, not a garden gate, I don't think. That's a little bit too interior. I will use that probably inside, but not with the transition from one to the other. Is there nothing? What about this? Curved handle locked or curved handle? Let's use locked, but we can decide later if we want to have that locked. This looks like it might be rustic enough to be a good transition door between the inside and outside. Now hold on, let me bring up the layers again. I don't want to be putting this on the default layer. Let's move to layer living quarters and turn those off so that that is now starred, and turn those back on. And now everything should, I hope, go to the right layer. Now let's hide everything but this, so we can place this. Got a free move. And we are at the bottom, we're touching the top. And that looks pretty good. Now we don't know what the values are, because as long as this is a prefab and all one piece, it doesn't show any of the entities. So once I have it positioned where I want it, I'm going to ungroup it, click this, and yes, it does start locked. I don't really have a problem with that. I think it's okay for the player to maybe have to stop and unlock that as a transition. So we'll put that there and see what that looks like in game. But there is our connection from one to the other. So since we're doing doors, let's go ahead and add some more doors to the rest of the inside here. So we will, again, insert a prefab, and these are more, I think, for outside areas. So let's use one of those other doors we saw. Not that. It's too rich for a... Those are mansion doors. Where was it? Here. Now, I can't remember whether I want left or not left. I want the door to open into the room, not into the hall. No, I think that's the wrong one. It's got the origin in the wrong spot. That will open out into the hall. So we'll delete that and insert the other one. And that one, when we rotate it the right way, has its origin there. And the origin is where they rotate from. So let's move this down. I know of no really quick, easy way to place doors. You just have to kind of... Well, maybe I should put that back and snap it. There, it's better. You just kind of have to manually figure out where you want them. The good news is, when you've got one, it's not that hard to copy and move others. And I think that's about right. And then we need two doors upstairs, so let's go upstairs. Oh yeah, let's hide that layer that has the box around it, the default layer. And again, we want doors here that open in, so I assume we'll want the same door, right? Does that? Does that make sense? Or is it because the door is going to be rotated? This will not work. I guess we'll find out. No, we want to rotate in the room, so that's correct. The origin is closest to the room, and that's where we want it. I just realized, oh no, that's okay. Let's say that that is good. We'll have a chance to check these later. Copy, move this over here. It's okay if it embeds just a tiny bit. Okay, and finally, one last door on over here. And then we can talk about whether we want to put any skins on these doors or just leave them as is. Now, the origin here is there. Now, we don't want, so this is, well, actually, why don't we just rotate this? Then it can open into the room as well. Doesn't matter if the door handle's on the other side, I don't think. Okay, there we have our doors. Now, these doors, I believe, and we can't tell because they're grouped, but I believe they have no skin on them. So these doors might look a little bit too rich for this area. I believe there are, oh, maybe not. Pretty sure there are skins for these, but they may not be on the model, and I don't remember what they are offhand. So we'll just leave those for now. Okay, so those are our doors. There were some gaps on the stairs that I had to fix. These gaps around the edges here, so why don't we do that? Copy those. And we're not going to do anything really pretty here. We're just going to put a wooden brush beam because you got it, speed build. And I don't think the player is going to notice or care very much about this. Now we can raise this up so it looks like it's sitting on the supports underneath, but I think that will do. And let's bring this along till it hits the corner. And then we can do the same thing over here. You know what? Before we start cloning and copying it, let me check the bottom. Is this, where is, yeah, it's going the right way. Okay, I just wanted to make sure the texture was correct. Rotate it, shrink it down, move it over here. And that looks fine. And then what I think we will do, copy and paste this, rotate it, and we'll use that to cover up the floor and bring this right over to, I guess we have to bring it right all the way along, don't we? What if we bring it to there? If that sticks out too far, we can, it does bite in a little bit further than I want, so let's do this and we'll just move this in a bit. All that we want is for it to stick further out than the support, and it does. So I think we can leave that like that. Good, and those are our gaps filled. Can we move this back? Not really, or that will stick out. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. Let's bring this one over here. And we need to do the same thing on the other side. We'll bring it out far enough that it overlaps by one. And let's go see what we've got over here. Copy and rotate. And copy and rotate again. Just over as far as it needs to go, and I think as long as it goes to the wood there, we'll just make sure it doesn't, it's not Gonna do any Z fighting? Nope. Okay, then I don't care too much about whether it is visible. What about over here? There's a bit of a gap over there, so why don't we bring that over along as well? Wait, will it Z fight? There we go. Why can I not collect it? Doesn't look like it. Okay, then let's go over here and do the same thing. Select that, extend it just a bit, and we're good. Okay, I'm just going to start saving this as 4 for today's work. Alright, so now those areas are blocked off. The gaps are filled. We've got our doors in. We've got our door connecting the 2 rooms. Maybe what we'll do is start throwing some lights in here. Now, I think I'm just going to use... What's going on there? What happened? Oh, I bet you that piece is on the other layer. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. Let's just turn that layer off. I think what I'm going to do is start putting some lights down here. Oh, no, wait. Before we do that, I had wanted to put a wall, or sorry, a door between these 2 rooms so the player can move from one to the other. So let's ungroup this. We're going to make this a corner door. Corner door left, yes. And we'll click that, and we will make that a corner door empty. Is it left? No, I guess that has to be right, empty. There. Done. Okay. Oh, I see how this has got a rougher wood texture for the door frame. I want that on the one getting in here. So let's choose that skin. Go out here. I guess we are going to have to turn on that layer because I don't want this to look so nice. There, much rougher wood. Good. Save. I can hide that again. Now, I think what I will do is start putting a few lights down here. I'm not 100% sure where I want to put them. And I'm just going to use entities down here because, well, I don't know if I have to think this through. Do I want to put entities down here? You know what? Maybe I'll leave the lighting for right now, because I haven't really thought too much about what I want to do with lighting here. So while I'm thinking about that, let's go in here. There's still some stuff to do on some of the other layers. We need to put a roof on here of some kind. Something quick and dirty. So I'm thinking what I might do here is see if I can find those braces that we used. Architecture, model interiors, supports, no. Bracing. Now this will be too long to use sideways, but we might be able to use it this way. So we put this up like this, and we put this up like this. And then we put, what if we put one of these in the corner as well? And we'll space these out correctly in a moment. So we'll lower them down about like that. Move this over slightly. And center these just a bit. Okay, then I think what we'll do, luckily I don't really have to worry too much about what this looks like on the outside. So I'm just going to do what looks good on the inside. Okay, and that will go up like that. And then I think we will... What if I did Need some kind of supports for this. The player is going to be much closer to these than they will be to the roof in the main area. So what if we did something like this? Will that reach? It might just. I think we'll have to move this over then. Put something like that, and this needs a skin. We want it to be rough wood, dark brown dull. Okay, yeah, you know what? I'll live with that. So let's put one on the other side. We don't necessarily want all of these to have ropes on them, but that's something we can adjust later if there is time. Let's copy these, move them back here. And put some here. Yeah, that works. And put some right against the wall there. And that should be a sufficient illusion that these things are supported. Okay, so let's grab a couple of these, put different models on them just so that they're not all the same. Hook on this one, maybe nothing on this one. And there we go. Okay, now I'm just going to put a brush on here that is not going to be pretty. In fact, we'll just do this, this. Yep, that's about the texture that I want. Raise it up. Where's the top of the roof? Raise it up to about here, and then we're going to do this. Let me just make sure that we have each side represented and that it is even on both. Yep, pretty much. Then we are going to try to split it right in the middle. So we're going to use a clipper tool. There, and oh, nope, that's not straight. Let's switch to a bigger grid for this. Okay, that is pretty close to halfway, isn't it? Shift Enter to cut it. And again, now I want to shift this one, but it's rotating this one. I don't know why that is. Look, I'm clicking here, rotate over here. And I want to rotate again. Good. Now switch to vert mode, grab these and drag them up. And we have a cheap and easy peaked roof. And that is all I am going to do here. Well, okay, I lied. I'm going to put a couple more braces on top there, but just really simple. What look like, oops. Where's that board? Generic boards. And that one sideways. And then we'll just copy and move those every so often. And one for the very end. And that should do. Again, although this is a little closer, it's still going to be in darkness. The player's not going to be able to see very much. So I am content with that. And now that we've done that, I'm going to copy all of this and the supports two upper pieces. I'm going to, did I get this? No. I'm going to make this a thing, group it, and clone it, and move it down here. Now I just need to line up the edges with this. Oh, oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the end of the wall. So line it up with that. That should line up there, and I think that is correct. Oh, we missed one. Oops. Okay, well, I can live with that. I feel like this needs to be shifted down just a touch. No, it's just these ones may not be in exactly the same spot. Well, let's ungroup it. We can shift any of these over that have to be moved a little bit. If we are going to be particular about it. And we need one more in the corner there. So let's do that. Get that. Oh, what did I do? Did I just undo that? Try redo, redo, redo. What the hell? Okay. I guess I somehow lost my clone one. Okay. Now, just to make sure, hide. Yeah, okay, so there is two there. Okay, so here we go. We now have a roofed area in both of those little two side rooms. We have lights in the main area, in the area to be moved around. We've got doors, and we've blocked in the gaps there. Oh, I see a little bit of Z fighting there. Don't want that, so I'm going to, oops, I'm going to move that down one and rotate that. Do we have that the same thing on the other side? I don't know, but I'll lower that down just in case and rotate. Okay, that should be fine. Alright, well, welcome back. I took a little bit of a break to check and see how we're doing for time, and it's getting close. I'm feeling a little bit nervous that I'm going to be able to make this 4-hour limit. We're already up over 2 hours, and I feel like there's a lot to do. We haven't got to monster clipping or adding AI or pathfinding or all kinds of other stuff. So I think we're going to dive right back in, and the first thing we're going to do is adjust the lighting in here. Now this is something I could have done last time and forgot because I'm not used to using prefab lights. I've just started doing it. The great benefit of that is that you can actually see them in the light viewer in Dark Radiant. When you're using entities, which is what I'm used to using in previous maps I've made, you actually can't see this. So I really got out of the habit of using that lighting mode. But since I can use it with these lights, I'm going to. Now, I didn't like the way that there were so many shadows and the way that these lights were set up, so I've decided to try something slightly different. I'm going to put the lights facing this way so that the areas with the crates and things are a little bit more lit up. And we'll do something else in the center there so that it's not quite so dangerous a choke point. So we'll put these lights on the sides like this. And actually I'm going to put some on the other side. So we're going to clone and rotate those and put them on the other side of these big supports. And just double check that They are sitting flush, and they're not quite there. Okay. So we've got lights on those sides, and I think I want to do the same thing here. It's really not that useful to light up the area right in front of the door, since the player is not going to go there anyway. But they will have to navigate their way around this. I'll do the same thing with this one. There we go. Now, I do want some kind of lighting by the door, so that's where I think we'll move these chain lights. Put one of them in front of the door. It's not a space the player is liable to use very much, but this way they can actually see that there is a door there. I'm going to raise these up. They're not hanging from anything at the moment, but I don't think the player is going to be able to actually see what they are or are not hanging from, and if they can see, maybe I'll add some beams later when I put on the roof. So let's move this out just enough so that the doorway is lit. That should be good. And let's see, where are the other hanging lights? There was one here. We're going to take this. We're going to move it into the center here so that there is still a light here, but it's going to be a little bit shadowy along the sides, which should give the player a way to get through without being seen if they're careful. And we'll raise this one up to about the same height and worry about what it's hanging from at a later date. And in here, we've got lights on that side now, got lights there, got lights there. Maybe what we'll do is take these two, raise them up, and position them. I don't know, could they stay where they are? I guess they could. I feel like the walkway where the archers are going to be standing could use a little bit of light. It also would be nice to let the players be able to see that there are AI there. So why don't we move the light over? We'll have to move this up higher so that it can get the platform. And that should be enough to light that corner, which should be enough to show the player that there's... let's move this. Show the player that there is an archer there. Move this over. Oh, it's going to cut through that platform. Well, again, I doubt the player will be able to actually see that. Move this one up higher as well. Move it over a little bit and shift it over like that. So let's see, it's got the corner. Okay, I think we're going to have to live with that. That center area could use a light. Let's take a copy of this and put it over there just to light up that area. I feel like I should put something in there. I don't know what. This helps light up the base of the stairs. Move it just enough that there's a little bit of shadow. We'll see how that works. There could be performance issues with this many lights, but I don't think so. I think we'll be able to cut this off. It's not a very big space. Okay, so let's just save this as Speed Build 5 for today's session. Alright, that I think looks better for mapping. There's a lot more tricky spots for the player to have to navigate around. I like that a little better. Okay, now let's do something about this ceiling. We are going to need some kind of roof here, a peaked roof of some kind. If I have time, I'm going to go back and add more beams and supports here, but I really don't know if there's going to be time. I feel like I am going to have to chop some areas that I had planned. So since the ceiling is really, really low on my list of things that I think players will care about, I'm just going to make something really quick and dirty for now. Oops. And if I have time, oh, come on, then I will come back. Grab those, lift them up in the corners. That's a decent peak. We'll leave them like that. And as you can see, it's really difficult to see up there in lighting mode, so I don't think the player is going to see much either. And there is a little bit of a gap along these walls. I want to cover that with a brush. And we'll throw a texture on that. I'm not even sure the player could see these gaps, again, given the lighting, but we'll throw this on anyway, just to be on the safe side. So move this up so that it blocks the gap that is right above the wall. And yeah, it sticks out a bit. Okay, that's good enough. And we will clone, move one over here to the other side to hide the gap over there. Good. And while we're at it, we will clone one and move it up to the top here. And what the heck, since we have one, use it to cover the edges there and there. Oops. Come on. There we go. Okay. And frankly, that is all the time I really have to mess around with the roof, although we do have to fill in these gaps. I could do this with extra wall modules, but I don't know if the wall modules will be tall enough. So I think what I'll do is just put a brush all the way across. Now again, luckily, we don't have to care about what this looks like from the outside, so I'm not even going to trim this to be triangular. I'm just going to leave it just like this. I just want to grab these so that I make sure it lines up. And we'll put it, yep, right there. And now I just have to figure out which, does it show me that texture? No. Here's a way you can figure out a texture if you want to match it. You go to Model, choose Model, gives you the list of textures used in that model here. And it's probably this blocks, yep. So old worn brick, old worn blocks, that's what I'm looking for. So select this, Media, Textures, Dark Mod, Stone, Brick, Old Worn Blocks 4, and I think I want the blue-gray one. There we go. Yep. Okay. And, oops, get off that window, unhide. Let's grab that. Clone it. Drag it down here, and we'll use this on the other side. And here, we've also got this little area where that does not quite meet as high as it, or as that city wall module we use for the door doesn't go as high as the other walls do. So we're going to have to do something about that. Put that there. I'm just going to grab this and this. Actually, hold on. Let's hide this, hide that, and we'll grab all three of these so that we can get something figured out here. Oh, I should have got the brush too. Well, this is a little bit in front. It's going to need its own brush. Let's just make one here. And this does not have to be pretty. It just has to not leave a gap. Okay, that will do. We'll extend this far enough that we can do that. Now let's grab this. So these are our two brushes. We want to copy the shader from that one, paste it onto this one, and we just want to make sure that this comes forward enough to meet that. Good. And, oh, this at the moment though is going in front. Well, let's do this. So here is that. We'll clip this there, and we'll clip it there, and we'll delete that there. And now we've got a little bit of a recess, and I'm okay with that. Let's just grab these. Let's bring them back here. They're not really sealing, so I don't know if that's even necessary, but there. And player won't see those lines, and that is going to be good enough. We are going to leave the ceiling for now. Okay, I do kind of want to go back and get to these supports at some point. What happened to our support there? And there. Oh, no, they're resting on these things. Yeah, I do want to get back and mess around with the supports if there's time, and there may not be. All right, now we need to do some stuff in these little side rooms, and we're going to, again, make this quick and dirty because these are not especially important areas. They do, however, need lighting. These are sort of transition areas. They're not areas where I want the player to be especially threatened. They're sort of catching their breath here before they move on to the next area. But I do want them to not be in total darkness. So we'll put that like that. And we'll copy another one, clone it, put it on the other side. That will do, and we'll grab those two, copy them, and we'll... What the heck happened there? Grab those two. Yeah, grab, clone, move. I don't know what happened last time. Started to rotate them. And we'll put them right here as well. Those rooms are the same size. Okay, so we got a little bit of lighting. Now, I want to start throwing some things in here for the player to move around. I don't really want the room to be completely empty. That's the entranceway to the other area. So let's look and see what we have in terms of prefabs. Maybe some pipes. Pipe kit. Yep, some of these are good. This one might be a little, oh yeah, that's kind of too big. Yeah, maybe that's even too big for there. Although, hold on. If we lower that down, that might be a nice little thing to throw in that front area. It's going to have to go against this wall though, isn't it? Unless we rotate it. Nope, it's going to be in the way of the stairs there and also hit the window. Is there anywhere we could use that? What if we put that over against the wall here? It's kind of got to stick out a little bit. Maybe. Don't know if it leaves the player room to get around. What if we did something like that? It's got to hit the wall though. Blocks a window, but I don't really care too much about that. And doesn't really get in the way of the packages. At least it doesn't clip them. Alright, sure, let's put that in there. Adds a little bit of interest. We may need to move those packages, but we'll worry about that later. Yeah, I gotta not get distracted like that because that is going to really cut into our time. How about we put some kind of big machine in here to take up some space? Where to go? That way we can fill up a lot of space really fast. We just stay out of the player's way. Move that kind of like this. Oh, we don't want it to go through into the next area though. So let's move that over like this. And how's that? Is that clips just a touch? But I'm not going to worry too much about it. Again, I bet you the player will not notice. And that kind of blocks off some of that. I know that down here I want to put some kind of workbench because this is transitioning into an area where they live a little bit, so we're getting slightly less industrial and a little bit more kind of lived in. So where would I go? Furniture, shelving. Did I put it in here? Kitchen sink, room supplies, kitchen shelf, weapon rack. I'll use that later. Maybe it's not here. Is it in mechanical? Tools? Is tools mechanical? Workbench. Okay, so we'll put that down on the floor and hide the wall, or hide everything but the wall, and move that up. We'll clip that into the wall just a bit. That should work. There. Gives us a little bit of room there. Let's do something with this wall. See what we can put here. What about sink? Sure, you might need a sink if you're working and getting dirty or you need to clean things. This is actually a working sink. I used it in the prologue map. The player can use it and actually turn it on, and it has running water. It's got a particle effect I've made as well. So we'll again hide the wall, make sure that there. Okay, good. So we've got a little bit of decor in here. It's not quite so empty. Enough that it looks like things are going on. Just for the heck of it, because I want to do this in the other room, I'm going to take one of these and turn it into a wall that's got a grate on it. Because I'm thinking that might be what I do in the other room as a suggestion if that's how the player got in. Now, what about one more thing, just to throw some stuff in here. Let's go to the junk. Let's pick some random junk and drop it in. I'm going to store some random junk in these rooms, and we want to have... No, this does not all line up with the floor. I hope that means some of these are movables that are going to fall on map start, and not just that they're all going to be floating. Good, there. Okay, we're going to call that done. Let's go to our other room. And in here, I want this a little bit more mechanical, a less lived in. So let's take a smaller pipe. And let's rotate it so that it's lengthwise. Can we do that? Rotate, rotate, rotate. Come on, how do we get there? Just so it takes up a little more room, but not with it pointing up. Can we get it pointing down? Good. So let's put this, actually, can we, haha, there we go. Let's do that. So we'll have this resting on the floor and resting against the wall. And that's a little bit there. Now we also have a prefab of a machine that I used again in the prologue. And this seems like a good place to put that to take up some space. Let's put it, let's do this. We'll have the pipe going out of the wall on that side. So again, lower this down to the floor, and it goes to the wall, and it's out of the way. It's not going to block the player's access. Move it out from the wall just a touch so it doesn't look like it hits anything. Done. Okay. And I may wind up, I think I'm going to get rid of this door, or at least I'm going to make this door an unpassable door. And where the player really is going to have come through, I think, is a grate. I had ideas of making this an openable grate that the player could actually come through. Those, that the time to do that may have passed. I don't know if I'll have time for that. And okay, let's throw some more junk in here. Junk, junk, junk. Junk. Random junk. What else? I want mostly industrial stuff. Boards and barrels work. Which wall are they leaning against by default? Let's just keep them that way to keep things easy. Good. Good enough. Are they on the floor? Not quite. There. Okay, so a little bit of junk against the wall. And that, again, it might be all we can do to make this kind of lived in. Maybe we'll throw a little bit of junk down in this corner, too. One last bit of random junk. What looks the most industrial? I should turn off the clip. Oh, that's no draw textures. I actually don't know off the top of my head how to turn that off. Well, that's pretty industrial. Let's use that. Is it in the way of the door? Nope. Block some area off nicely. Okay, if we have time near the end, we can come back and do a little bit more with that, but I'm fairly happy that that fills up that room. Okay, so we've got those rooms decorated now. The lighting here, I think, is fixed. It may be time to start blocking this in with actual world spawn so that it will seal. I think that will be our next task. But I'm going to stop here for now because I think this will make a good end of the video. That should make it long enough, and I'd like to add up the time and see how much time do we have left. So we'll leave it here, and until next time, happy mapping.